Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Building a Fortress, a City in Minecraft. And here on the left of our screen we can see the awesome houses which we made in the last episode, which I am really happy with indeed. If you haven't seen that one, please be sure to go and check that one out. But we're going to get straight into the action in this video and start building something just straight away from the get-go. So we're going to start off by actually moving down to the river bank and actually sort of fleshing out the edges of the river itself, because I didn't really like the way that the grass just sort of ended, the grass blocks at the edge of the river, because this is a kind of a city, you know, it's not a village or anything like that, so it's going to have stone walls and things nicely rounded off. And so I figured that it would be a good idea to kind of define the boundaries of this river a little bit better, just so we can go in the future and actually put down some nice walkways and some nice bridges and things like that. And one thing that I wasn't super happy with in this area was the fact that I actually used lots and lots of diagonals here, so probably too many diagonals, and I think later on in the series I actually come back to this area and get rid of some of these diagonals, split them up into different patterns and let the river sort of meander through the city. So I'm just starting work here on what we're going to be doing in today's episode, which is a kind of a merchant's district or a town centre, maybe a shopping area if you can think of it in that way as well. So here I'm just building up a platform, and it's going to be quite a tall platform, as you can see, just because I want to try and raise the height of the city as we go inward towards the centre. So in the town centre I sort of want to have taller platforms, definitely much taller than the houses that we built in the last episode. And here you see me filling in the whole thing with gravel, but don't worry, the gravel isn't there to stay. The only reason I've used that is because it falls down to the bottom and fills up the area nice and easy, and then we can go and replace that with whatever we want to. One thing I was kind of unhappy with this this whole platform that I built in the end was the fact that it didn't have much height variation, which isn't always a good thing. So I went back and actually added in some height variation to the buildings, making some of them slightly higher and lower. And right there you can see I'm also trying to create a cool stepped entranceway to the platform, because this is obviously how you enter the city, so it's going to be pretty spectacular and pretty cool looking, so I'm going to have to work on that in the future. I did try out a few different materials here, just seeing what would work best, but in the end I did settle on the slabs, as you saw. And now it was time to use some of these wool blocks to plan out how the different buildings would look. And I really went a little bit crazy here with the different types of shapes that I could make and sort of fit into this area, because we actually have a fairly limited space, I guess, to work with here. And yeah, you can see the red blocks there, the red wool blocks. They are obviously going to be the pathway leading in between, snaking in between these buildings, and I wanted to make it quite cramped and like a marketplace almost. So I know I probably went a little bit overboard with some of these shapes, but don't worry, they're just planning blocks, and I do go and alter them a little bit when I actually start building the buildings themselves. using my classic pillar design here to try and build up some cool frameworks for these buildings which are going to be here. And I wasn't really too sure throughout this build about which materials to use. That was the hardest thing in this build itself, and I was always in two minds about everything that I did, in terms of the sandstone right there, which I later removed by the way, and also the spruce wood, which just looks a little bit out of place. And obviously it's because I haven't used that material at all yet, because we're only starting on the first buildings of the fortress itself. So I'm really going to have to make a decision at some point about what I want the theme to be in terms of the colours and the different materials that I use as well. You can see how big I actually wanted these buildings to be, and that just leaves lots of space on the inside as well for some future decoration. And at this point I kind of went really crazy trying to figure out what decoration to actually include to make this building look really cool. And yeah, this was a really difficult build to actually get my head around, and as you'll see through the time lapse, I keep making changes, keep extending things, but in the end, I'll be completely honest with you, I am not really happy with what comes out of this and what I'm left with at the end of the episode. Here you can see I'm trying to make it a 3-story building as well, just adding in that extra floor right at the top, so it's really tall and really big. But even with this build, I was not too happy with the end result. And what I'm going to say is I'm actually just going to let the time-lapse run now. I'm not going to do too much commentary, and I'm just going to let you guys enjoy the time-lapse and take a look at things, just because I'm probably going to end up changing a lot of this in the next episode, and things are not going to be the same, so there's not really much point of commentating over all of the ideas I had in some of these builds. So here I realised that that building was really way too tall. It's going over the wall height really for the position that it's in. It's just not short enough. It shouldn't be there, so I go and move that one over to a slightly lower point, which I think was a very good decision indeed. But anyway guys, enjoy the rest of the time lapse. Thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next one.